feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody...
It didn't start with fireworks. It started with silence. For years, Kim Taehyung carried something in the quiet corners of his heart, something unspoken, guarded like a secret diary that even he was afraid to read. Fans knew his laughter, his warmth, his art. But there was a shade in his eyes that only appeared in certain moments, like a song you can hear only when the room is completely still. And then it happened. During a late-night live stream, unannounced and unpolished, Taehyung appeared on the screen wearing a simple sweater, hair falling loosely over his forehead. He didn't greet the viewers in his usual bright tone. Instead, he looked down for a long time, fingers tracing the edge of a mug as though it held the words he'd been avoiding. "I don't usually talk about this," he began, his voice low, almost hesitant. "But there's someone I once wrote every song for." The chat exploded instantly, questions, theories, pleas for him to continue, but Taehyung didn't look at the comments. His gaze remained somewhere far away, as if speaking meant unlocking a memory he wasn't sure he was ready to face. "I kept it inside for years," he continued. "I thought, maybe if I stayed quiet it would be easier. But it wasn't. It never was." He paused then, the kind of pause that feels heavier than words. His eyes glistened, not from staged emotion, but from the raw weight of finally saying something out loud after so long. "There were nights I sang on stage and imagined they were listening," he confessed. "Even though I knew they weren't there." Armies held their breath behind screens across the world. Some leaned closer, as if proximity could keep him talking. And then he smiled, faint, bittersweet. "I don't know if they'll ever hear this. But if they do, I want them to know I meant every word. Then and now." The moment felt suspended in time. There was no music in the background, no dramatic cut, just a man finally letting his heart speak after years of silence. By the end of the stream, his eyes were damp, his voice quieter. "I guess some love stories don't end," he whispered. "They just live differently." He ended the live stream without a wave, the screen fading to black. But the world outside his apartment kept moving, the night wind carrying a confession that had waited too long to be heard. For Army, it wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. Gentle, honest, like a melody he had been humming alone, now finally shared with millions. And for the first time in years, the silence felt a little lighter. The night after Taehyung's live stream, Seoul felt different. The streets were the same, the neon lights still humming, but for Army around the world something had shifted. Clips of his confession spread like candlelight in the dark, slow, steady, impossible to put out. Some fans replayed it again and again, memorizing the way his voice trembled on certain words. Others stayed quiet, sitting in the glow of their phones, unsure why their own hearts ached for a story they had never lived. But somewhere beyond the reach of fan theories and trending hashtags, Taehyung sat alone in his apartment, the room lit only by the soft halo of a desk lamp. The mug from the night before was still on the table, the tea inside now cold. He hadn't rewatched the live stream. He didn't need to. Instead, he reached for a worn leather notebook. Its pages were filled with lines of lyrics, some complete, most abandoned halfway through. In the middle of the book was a single page that had been folded more than the others. He opened it carefully. It was the song. Their song. He read the lines slowly, lips barely moving. Then, almost without realizing it, he began to hum the melody, so softly it might have been mistaken for breathing. He remembered the first time he'd played it for them years ago. No cameras, no crowd. Just a small room, a rainy night, and a look in their eyes that made him believe every word he sang. The memory hit like the first drop of rain before a storm. He set the notebook down and leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. Somewhere outside, the city was alive with its usual chaos. But in his mind, he was standing in that same small room again, hearing their voice echo his in quiet harmony. For years, he had kept this part of his life sealed away, not because it was over, but because it was still too alive. Too sharp. Too precious to be handled by the world's hands. Now that it was out, even just in fragments, he wondered if it would change anything. Would they hear it? Would they recognize themselves in his words? Or would the song remain unfinished like so many others? He closed the notebook, exhaling slowly. Somewhere deep down, he knew this wasn't the last time he would speak of them. But for now, he let the silence return, not the heavy kind that hides pain, but the gentle kind that makes space for whatever comes next. And somewhere in the quiet, a new line came to him. A promise more than a lyric. If you hear me, I'll sing it again. The reply that wasn't a reply. It started with a photo. Not from Taehyung, but from an account that had been silent for months. It wasn't anything obvious, just an image of a rain-streaked window, a candle burning faintly in the corner. No caption. No location tag. But for those who had watched the live stream, the details hit like a hidden chord. The glass, the candlelight, the rain. It was his scene mirrored. The comments flooded instantly. Did you see Taehyung's live? Is this about him? Please tell us this is real. The account never replied. The photo stayed untouched, a single image in a sea of speculation. Meanwhile, Taehyung stayed silent. No new live streams, no interviews. But fans who attended his latest fan sign swore they saw a change in him, a softer smile, a way of listening as if every voice in front of him might be the one he'd been waiting for. Then came the second clue. At a private rehearsal in Busan, a staff member leaked a short video, just 7 seconds long. In it, Taehyung was sitting with his guitar playing the melody from that night. But this time he didn't hum the old lines. He sang something new. I thought I lost you in the rain, but you were listening all along. The clip ended before the next line. It was enough to send ARMY into chaos. Every platform buzzed with theories. Was the photo a response? Were the new lyrics a confirmation? Or was this all just coincidence dressed as fate? Taehyung never answered. But at his next concert in Bangkok, right before the final encore, he did something he'd never done before. He walked to the very edge of the stage, looked directly into the crowd and spoke, not to everyone, but in a tone that felt meant for one person only. Thank you, he said. 2 words. Then he smiled, slow, unhurried, and stepped back to sing the last song of the night. For the fans, it was just another layer of mystery. For him, it was enough. And somewhere, maybe in another city, maybe just across the street, someone was watching. Listening. The rain began again.
Tell you what to do, man.